keeping Nurse Jonathan Damilare Arowolo. You're welcome in the building. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. Thank you so much. So let me quickly
Thank
hand
you,
over
man.
to you without any further ado. Let me hand over to you.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I believe you can hear me clearly, man.
Sure, sure, sure.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, my good friend, Shio, and everyone joining this live stream. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Damilare Jonathan Arowolo. I'm a registered nurse and a diabetes educator. So today, I have the honor of sharing one or two things with you on diabetes. It's something I'm so passionate about, and because of its immense impact on the life of people that have it and their families, right? And it's more than just a disease, it's something that affects the entire life of the person. That's why we go beyond just treating the individual to treating the family to educating the populace on diabetes, right? So, um, let me start quickly with the definition, or let me say what is diabetes, and I'm going to define it as simple as possible. And to do that, so I define it this way. When I teach my people, I tell them diabetes is as simple as saying you have too much sugar in your blood. So that's just it. You have too much sugar in the blood. Right. Now, so we are going to define some things to better understand that simple statement. Although it's that statement is simple, but it's more than that. Right. So let's go further to explain it. So I'm going to define that sugar, then the blood, and then we'll build up from there. Right. So the sugar simply is the end product of all of the food that we eat. Every food, every kind of food we eat end up as glucose plus some other things, but majorly there is a lot of it end up as glucose, which we also call sugar. All right, and when this food, all of this food we eat, ends up as glucose, they should be taken up from where they are being finally digested into the muscles and to the cells and to the tissues of the body to be used up for energy. But and the mechanism or the pathway to doing that is the blood. All right. So this is what happens when the sugar is being produced. It's been all of it has been digested and it's formed sugar. It should be taken through the blood to where it's going to be used up. But what's happening in diabetes is that it's not moving from that point of the blood or within the blood. It's not moving from the blood to the cells. So it's piled up in the blood. It's stored up in the blood, and it's causing a lot of issues with those that have it. So that is basically what happens. All right. So now, why is it not moving from the blood? That's the next question. Why is it not moving away from the blood to where it's going to be used? Why is it stored up? Why is it getting excess in the blood? There is something that is implicated in that scenario. And what's happening there is that we have an hormone called insulin. The insulin hormone is produced by an organ called the pancreas. So something happens, one thing or the other might have happened, and that insulin is either not present, all right, or is not sufficient. And let me break it down. From this explanation, we are going to define the types of diabetes. So it's not present at all, and there we have type 1 diabetes. Okay, we have type 1 diabetes when it's not present at all. And why is it not present at all? It's oh, sorry, I went off briefly. Can you still hear me, ma? All right, all right. So why is it not present in the blood? It's not present because, sorry, why is it not? Okay, so I said insulin is not present at all. I'm saying why is it not present? It's usually because the pancreas is not functioning well. That is, the pancreatic cells now has been destroyed. One thing or the other has happened to it and is destroyed. That's what we have in type 1. So in type 1, basically, what happens is that there is an autoimmune reaction. We call it autoimmune reaction, where the cells of the body begins to eat themselves up, and and it leads to what we call type 1. So it's the pancreas that normally produces insulin is not able to produce it because it has been destroyed, and the person doesn't have insulin to take up the glucose that has been produced from all the food we eat, take it up for it to transform to energy and other things that is useful for the body. That's the first case. So that's type 1 diabetes. Now we also have type 2 where it is possible that the pancreas is still there, not destroyed, but it's not producing enough insulin. And that is the most common type. The initial one I just described is commoner amongst children and adolescents. That's where you have it. It starts from the childhood. It has a childhood onset. All right, and when you discover that in children, you just have to care for them. They just have to continue taking insulin for the rest of their lives. But on the other hand, for type 2, which I'm going to describe now, that is where you have insulin not sufficient. Now, there are two things also about this type 2. It is not only that it is not sufficient, sometimes it is there. But the challenge is that the insulin and the glucose, this is how they operate. It's like saying insulin is the carrier, is the vehicle that carries, all right, glucose from the bloodstream to the cells, to the tissues, and makes it useful for energy. So what is happening in that case in type 2 is that sometimes it is either that there are not enough insulin. So let's assume we have 1,000 passengers and we only have one vehicle that can only contain 20. All right. So that is happening there. It's either that or that there is the vehicle, but the driver is not willing to drive. So in that case, we call it insulin resistance. So the driver and the insulin is resisting the glucose, so they are not able to bind together to be able to move and go to the necessary place where they ought to be used up for energy. Okay, so that's the two variables in type 2, where the most common variables, because knowledge is evolving day in day out about diabetes, right? So that's type 2 diabetes. We also have a type which is common amongst, which exists amongst the pregnant women. We call it gestational diabetes, right? And that is it. So basically, we have two types. Type 1, that is the one childhood onset. We also call it insulin dependent, and that's type 1 diabetes. It occurs in type children and young in adolescents actually. Then in type 2 we have those that's more common amongst young adults, middle-aged adults, particularly from 40 begins to set in, and it goes on like that. And that is even more that is hereditary. I'm going to explain that as I build up on this. So those are the two types of diabetes that we have. Um, should I continue from there?
Yes, you can. Just continue.
Okay. So um, I'm going to explain a few things now about okay. The network is just fumbling. All right. I hope someone is still hearing me. I hope I'm still very much live. Okay, so let me continue from there. So I'm going to explain a bit. I'm going to dwell a little more on type 2. Basically, they manifest in similar ways, right? But the origin is different. They begin differently, but they manifest in similar ways. So, but I'm just going to explain something about type 2. And, like I said, type 1 has a particular cause. The cause is that pancreas is destroyed, all right? The pancreas is destroyed. But in type 2, the pancreas is still very much fine, only that it's not producing enough. So let's say let's look into why it's not producing. And that's what we want to
Oh,
learn a
okay.
lot. That's why we're going to learn
Just
about
that. Please, can
the,
you hold on a
the
little?
causes or the risk factors and the things that we need to
Hello.
do to prevent it. Yeah, can
Okay,
you hear
thank
me,
you
ma?
so much. Yes, thank you, Chinwe Uzoma. Thank you so much for coming around, ma. Thank you so much. I understand. Thank you. And we also have someone in the building, Mimi TV Belgium. Thank you so much for coming around, Mimi TV Belgium. Thank you. And thank you for sharing me out, for everyone that has shared me out. Thank you so much for sharing me out. So we are talking about diabetes, and our teacher have taken time to explain what diabetes means, and he said we have the type 1 diabetes and we have the type 2 diabetes. I'm just trying to paraphrase because of those that just entered now. So we have the type 1, we have the type 2, and he said diabetes simply means that, yes, cheese remedy. Diabetes simply means when there is so much sugar in your blood. It's called glucose. Say there's so much glucose in the blood, or there's so much sugar in the blood. And like you said, it could be as a result of insulin resistance, because it is this hormone that helps to convey the sugar. So when there's not sufficient insulin in the blood, and it is actually the pancreas that produces this insulin. So when there's not enough insulin in the blood to convey, that is the vehicle, like that was the exact word he used. That is the vehicle that will convey the glucose. So when you don't have enough vehicles, you have a lot of passengers on ground, a lot of glucose. You've taken eba, you've taken semo, you've taken pounded yam, you've taken so much carbohydrate, and then you have a lot of glucose. And okay, and then you have a lot of glucose, and you need that vehicle to transport the glucose, and that vehicle is insulin. So when you don't have enough of that insulin, it could result into diabetes. Or when there is insulin resistance itself, when the insulin and the glucose are fighting. You understand? So now when insulin is released, there are some cells in the body that will pick up those glucose. But when insulin is released and those cells, the muscle cells, they are not picking up the excess glucose in the body, in the blood, then insulin resistance is setting in. And when insulin resistance eventually sets in, diabetes could also result from that. So like he explained, we have the type 1 diabetes and we have the type 2 diabetes. So you can continue, Nurse Jonathan, you can continue.
Okay, thank you, thank you. You've done a brilliant job in helping me with that. Thank you, man. So just to build up on, to continue from where I stopped. So I'm going to be talking now about the type 2, and explaining the risk factors. Like I said, there is no particular cause for type 2. So what we have is the risk factors. All right. So, and this is where I would really love us to listen and really take good attention. Now, we have two categories of risk. There are those we call the modifiable risk and the non-modifiable risk. The modifiables are those that you can change. From the word modify, you can change, right? Then the non-modifiable, you can't do anything about that. All right. So the non-modifiables, quickly, there is one, and the most important, or let me just say two, most important is genetics. Now, the genetic component of it, there is a genetic predisposition in diabetes. What I mean is this: it is very possible that in an individual, there is a genetic predisposition, there's a component of your gene that makes it possible for you to develop diabetes. All right. Now, this is very important because you hear some people tell you, this man, my grandfather is 90 years, or I know one man, let me just start with this. I know one man, he's 90 years old. He doesn't, in fact, I was still having such yesterday. I know one man, he's 90 plus years old, he drinks, he does a lot of these things, and he never has all of these diabetes. In fact, my grandparents in the village, they never had all of these things. The truth is that you can't compare one with another, because there is a chance that that person may not have a genetic risk to developing diabetes, while in you have a genetic risk. So you have to be careful. Now, building up on that, because it is one can be genetically predisposed. There is also a tendency that it is transmitted from father to child. That is, it is hereditary. That this is very important because for somebody who is comparing himself with another person who drinks and does all of the other things, saying that he doesn't have any risk, should be careful because you don't know what exists in your own family tree. All right, you don't know what it is that exists in your own family line. So if you might say, and funny enough, these things skip generation, so you might skip the last generation and exist there. And there are lots of times where the lifestyle does not match because a lot of these diseases are a component. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself, but let me just say this: a lot of these diseases are it's a relationship between the genetic and the environment. So the environment might have not favored the genetic to develop the disease. So you discover that the person doesn't come down with it. So what I'm saying in essence is the genetic factor is very important, and it can be hereditary as well. So it can come from father. So when you discover that, oh, somebody in your family tree, your sister, your brother, someone somewhere once developed this illness, all right, has any history of diabetes, you have to take extra caution with your health. That's the first thing. Then the second thing is age. Now, I'm stressing these things because these are the things that we need to get most importantly. So the second part of it is the age, and this age, it begins from somewhere around 40 for type 2. I told you type 1 is more of from somewhere from childhood. You can start having it from even as one. Some people would diagnose them from birth. They are diagnosed at birth and then they keep growing with it till they die. But for type 2, usually they start getting to see it from 40. In fact, now we are now realizing that type 2 can be discovered detected in 35. So it's becoming the age is varying now. But anytime from 40, middle age, it begins to set in. Now, this is something very important because from my own experience, we discovered that most people only know that they have diabetes. Now, get this right. They only know that they have diabetes when they're about 60 years. Meanwhile, some of these things have been in them since 40, 50, and they never knew. And that's the challenge, and that's why I'm doing this now. One thing we must get right is this: it does not immediately show with a symptom. All right. So because someone is 40 years, the process has begun. All right, and then it builds up 50, 60, and then it has developed to a point where it's now showing complications, all right, before the person now discovers. So you get to hear some people saying, I just saw a wound on my leg, and I just had a little wound on my leg, and the wound is not healing. And then I get to the hospital, excuse me, and they say I had diabetes. That is usually the story. Meanwhile, it has been building up since their late 40s or late 30s, early 40s. So age is a factor. Once you begin to approach age 40 and above, begin to take good caution of your health. All right. So that's two. Then for those people who are African descent, blacks and Caucasians, there is also some risk for those who are Caucasians, much more than those of us in Africa. But this data is changing, right? So we now realize, even part of us here, that a lot of these things. I'm talking about the race as a non-modifiable risk factor now. Race is also one for those who are Caucasians. But let me go to what matters most, because those ones we may not be able to modify it, but there are some that we can modify, and that is the modifiable risk factors. And those modifiable risk factors are four majorly. Interestingly, they cut across both diabetes, hypertension, cancers, and even some chronic respiratory illnesses. So basically, one is our diet. One is our diet. Now, for diet, um, to prevent diabetes by dieting, this is what we counsel people to do. The first thing we counsel them to do is one, eat a lot of vegetables, eat a lot of fruits, and this is the model we teach people to use. Imagine a plate. in the model, we call it the plate model for healthy eating. Imagine a plate, you can just Google it, you see the plate model for healthy eating. Imagine a plate, right? Cut it into half. The whole half of it should be loaded with vegetables and fruits. Now, I know someone is saying, how possible is that? It is, I think it is better, it is less costly, it is much better to eat that way than to eat more of carbs and all other things than vegetables. I don't know, but in this part of the world, vegetables are lesser and even readily available to us. All right, it's just that people are not informed. So this is it. Half of your plate should be vegetables and fruits. So by default, you should be having at least three servings of vegetables and at least three servings per day. So at least three servings of fruits. In fact, so WHO recommends 3 to 5 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. All right. This may seem like is that possible, right? But this is something that we can build. That is why some of these things are behavioral
Oh,
modifications.
thank you so much for coming around. Shady Princess Beneficial Knowledge. Thank you. How are you doing today? How is your family? Happy weekend to you. And thank you for the super chat. Thank you, Shady Princess. It's been a while. I saw you in my live stream. Thank you for coming around and thanks for the super chat too. Thank you. Okay, so now Jonathan is trying. We are talking about diabetes, and he said we have the type 1, we have the type 2 diabetes, and he is trying to say that if you see someone taking alcohol, I've been saying that please don't mind the background noise. Don't just mind the background noise. So he has been saying that you could see someone taking alcohol and the person is like, my father doesn't have it, my grandfather doesn't have it, they take alcohol, so why should I take? So you're not supposed to copy someone else because it might actually run in your own gene, it might run in the gene of your family, and that is why you don't compare yourself. Yes, that's why you don't compare yourself with another person. So the fact that this person in their family they drink alcohol, they don't have diabetes, it doesn't mean that you should also be drinking alcohol because it could actually run in your own gene. And now he's talking about the foods. Now he's talking about the food. He's going to tell us about the food and lifestyle changes to prevent and also to manage diabetes. So now he's talking about fruits. Now he's talking about vegetables and fruits. So I hand over to you now, Jonathan.
All right. Thank you, man. Thank you for always doing justice here. So, I'm talking about the plate model. So imagine a plate, cut it into half. The first half loaded with fruits and vegetables, right? And that's for every meal that we take. Then the other half, cut it into two again. That is a quarter, 2 quarters now. So a quarter of it should be your carbohydrate, all right, your energy-giving food. If you are in this part of the world, that's a lot of rice. We eat a lot of rice here. Yam, that's your eba, that's your pounded yam, and all the different categories of and carbohydrates. Then also your beans. That's the other quarter should be your beans, your proteins, all right, and your fats and other things. So essentially, what we're trying to say is eat more vegetables, less of carbs, and a little moderate protein. That's the general principle. All right, more vegetables, more fruits, less carbs, and moderate proteins. Okay, so that's about diet. Now there are some other things I need to mention, and it's the intake of carbonated drinks, is the intake of sugary drinks. The place of that is this: when you take all of these things that contains a lot of sugar, that is refined sugar, you're taking it in. This is how it works. You take it in, the insulin and the pancreas needs to produce a lot of insulin because already you are taking sugar. Even before the digestion, it's sugar already. So you are taking it in directly. The insulin, I mean, the pancreas needs to produce a lot of insulin to address it, to be able to take it up. So you're putting your insulin, your pancreas to work. You're putting your pancreas to work. And over the years, it gets tired. These things really do get tired. The cells of the body, the organs of the body can get tired. All right. So that is the risk there. We don't want to put ourselves to that risk. Now, there is something again about some carbonated drinks. Some of them have some moderately slightly addictive substances. And I don't want to spoil any brand, but there is a particular brand that is common all over the world, and it's dark in color. I'm not going to mention it, right? It's got a particular measure. I mean, scientists have shown that it's slightly addictive, and that's it. That's the trick. So they get you to come buy more and more and more and more and more. And we've seen people who their diabetes can be traced down to these drinks, right? Because they just take it every day. They just take it every day. So this is the advice we give people: when you're thirsty, drink water, right? Drink water. Once you're thirsty, just drink water. Once you're thirsty, drink water. Water quenches thirst, not carbonated drinks. All right. So and if I want to just add that at least 3 to 5 liters of water per day, and that's 6 bottles or 6 to 7 bottles, I mean, of that 50 cl. Am I right now? Yeah. Just do the math. Okay, so that's it. Sugary drinks, a lot of those things. Instead of that, if you need something to drink, you want something sweet, just make smoothies, just make juice, fruit juice, not the juice that is made by, not the juice that is made
We
by all
understand
of
you. We
these
understand you.
companies. Yeah,
We understand you already.
yeah, yeah.
So you are trying to
So,
tell
so,
us that
so, let
we
me
should
move
take more
on.
of fruits and vegetables, we should take low
Yeah,
carbohydrates, we should take protein and reduce those sugary drinks. Prepare smoothie, drink
brilliant.
water. Water is good for the body. So take water, prepare
Exactly.
your smoothie yourself, and take less of fatty foods too. As much as you are trying to take little carb and low carbs, you are trying to take protein, you should also take less fatty foods too. So thank you so much. You're welcome, Precious Meal. Thank you so much for coming around, Precious Meal. How are you today? How is your family? All right, so you can continue.
Okay, so I think I've spoken quite a lot on the diet. So let me just mention quickly on three other things. The second thing is physical activity. Now this is different from stress. Let me quickly say this: physical activity, exercise is different from stress. Some people say I go out to work every day and I don't sit at home. I'm always working, so I'm active. Well, you might be active, but how active are you in your activity? This is what I mean. You go to work, how many hours do you spend on your seat? All right. How many hours do you are you the type that use the elevator instead of the staircase? You drive from work. You don't trek. You don't go to the next bus stop. You drive. Someone drives you. They drop you. So you've gone to work. Then you're active, but still you are not active. That's the description I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say now. So activity is physical activities. This is why we counsel people to go about physical activity. So keep a routine at least at least 3 times a week. Keep a routine at least 3 times a week. But do something regularly. So maybe you pick, this is going to be your routine. You're going to walk from this junction of your house to this junction of your house. Do brisk walking. You just walk a little fast, walk, 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 and then you go back, you go forward. That's enough. We're not saying go to the gym. You don't need to go to the gym. Yeah, going to the gym is fine. That's not that we're not stopping that. That is particularly important for those who want to lose weight. Okay, and I'm going to mention that. I hope I don't forget that weight loss is important. So physical activity is important, and that is important for weight loss. But for those people who are within your moderate age, what you can do to know if you are within your moderate weight for age is just do your BMI. We call it the body mass index. All right. So how do you get that? Simply your weight over the square of your height. So if I believe you can get a weighing scale somewhere around. Just get your weight, get your height, square it, get it, and check. You can go online for further details. I don't want to stress on that. But it's important that you know whether or not you are within the normal weight, because obesity is another very strong risk factor. Obesity is another risk factor. And what
Okay.
it actually does is that it leads to the insulin resistance we described earlier. The insensitivity is the major thing that is implicated in insulin resistance. So obesity is important. Get to know if you're obese. If you're higher than the normal, then you want to you want to do something about it. Do you want to say something, man?
Okay. Yes. You're welcome in the building, Chiprivan 8. Thank you so much for coming around. Chiprivan, Favor Olamide TV. Thank you so much for coming around. How's your family? Happy weekend to you. Collins, April, you're welcome, sir. Thank you so much for coming around. Thank you for joining the stream. Thank you for the amazing thumbs up. Precious meal. I see every one of you. Thank you for the amazing thumbs up and thank you for joining the stream. So today we are talking about diabetes and we have a diabetes educator and a registered nurse in the building. He has so much passion for talking about diabetes. And that is why I brought him to the building to come and talk on diabetes. He has so much passion when it comes to diabetes. So he has taken time to explain what diabetes entails, having so much, glucose or sugar left in the blood. And it could actually be type 1, it could be type 2. And he has also told us those foods that one should take to prevent or manage diabetes. Take more of fruits, take more of vegetables, take less of, carbohydrates or low carbs. Then you should also try to avoid alcohol, like I always say from time to time. Avoid alcohol. Take more of water instead of taking sugary drinks. You could take more of water. Prepare your smoothie at home yourself. So basically, when you take carbohydrates, the end product of carbohydrates is glucose, and that is why you shouldn't make carbohydrates something that you just take every time, every time. Morning, afternoon, night, carbohydrates, carbohydrates, because the end product at the end of the day is going to be glucose, it's going to be sugar in a layman's language. So try to take low carbs carbohydrates, take carbohydrates that are rich in fiber. You understand? So try as much as possible to take carbohydrates that are rich in fiber, like your brown rice, like your millets, like your grains, like your sodium, like your barley, like your wheat. These are carbohydrates that are rich in fiber. And fruits are also rich in fiber. So he mentioned it. Take lots of fruits, take lots of vegetables, and then take proteins to end. Try as much as possible to reduce your fat intake too, because at the end of the day, the excess fat will be stored in form of energy too. So it's not something you should always take fatty foods, taking of fast foods. All these things could increase one's chance of developing diabetes. So try as much as possible to reduce your intake of fatty foods, fast foods, while you work on taking more protein, take more of fruit, take more of vegetables, and drink lots of water. And try to avoid alcohol as much as possible. At the same time, he also mentioned engaging in exercise. German Niger TV, yeah, thank you. So engaging in exercise too is very, very important. Engage in exercise. Like he said, if you have a sedentary job, if your job has to do with you sitting and sitting every time, try to always take a break. If it is 15 minutes break, if it's 20 minutes break, try to stand up, take a walk. You understand? If you have a sedentary job that involves you sitting at the time, sitting at all times, try as much as possible to stand up, take a walk around, make sure you exercise yourself, try to burn those excess glucose you have stored up. So he explained that we have type 1 diabetes, we have type 2 diabetes. Diabetes could actually be inherited, especially when it's getting to type 2. Yeah, DIY all things has a question for Nurse Damilare. So try as much as possible. So like I was saying, diabetes can be inherited. So you want to help your family, you want to help your children, you want to help your unborn children. And if you notice that there's diabetes in your lineage, then wow, such a person should even run away from sugar. such a person should even be using added sugar. Adding sugar, you could rather make use of honey. And even when you are making use of the honey, try as much as possible to be so, don't take too much of it too. So make sure that you take as little as possible. So if you have diabetes in your family line, such a person should run away from sugar. Such a person should not be the one always taking sugary drinks. And at the same time, even if you don't have diabetes running in your family, it is something you can actually prevent yourself, especially the more you are going older. Children, they take a lot of these sugary drinks, but they are still in their developmental stage. They exercise a lot and they are able to, shed those calories, engage in this exercise, run all about the house. But especially when you have a sedentary job, you don't wake up and down, maybe you are always at home. Then you should eat less of all these things so that you don't accumulate, excess glucose, and you don't end up overworking your insulin, because it is your insulin that will pick up this glucose and transport them. But when the insulin is overworked, diabetes will set in. When the glucose is so much, even the insulin itself will just get tired, and then the person has a lot of sugar circulating in the bloodstream, and it is not good when you have excess sugar circulating in the bloodstream. It could affect quite a lot of organs in the body. When you have a lot, it could even affect the reproductive system. So if there's someone who is, looking forward to having a baby, yes, you should be someone looking forward to having a baby, then you shouldn't be taking so much of sugar. So Chiprivan is asking, what do you think? Okay, DIY has a question. Chiprivan also has a question. He say, what do you think about those so-called sugar alternative like stevia? Yes, I said it sometimes ago when I was talking on how to reduce your sugar intake. You could actually take stevia. Yes, it's a sugar derivative, but even when you want to take your stevia, you make sure that you take it in a minute quantity. Take it in a minute quantity. And like we said the other time, your sugar intake, you really need to work on it. Your added sugar every day should be so. What do you want? So sugar is something you should work, and you can take stevia, but try as much as possible to be considerate while taking it. Be considerate as much as possible. And we also have another question. DIY all things. Okay, talking about ketogenic diet, is it beneficial for diabetic patients? So I think DIY is a nurse. If I'm right, DIY all things think she should be a nurse. So when you take diets that are rich in fibers, diets that are rich in fibers, they really help. Now, for example, talking about orange now. People like, oh, we should take fruits, but orange contains sugar. Yes, orange contains sugar, but the fiber present in it will help to slow down the absorption of that glucose. It will help to slow down the absorption of sugar. So when you go on ketogenic diet, it will actually help you as far as you are taking diets that are low in carbohydrates. Take diets that are low in carbohydrates, and you take diets that are rich in fiber, because definitely it will help to slow down the absorption of glucose. So I think Nurse Jonathan will also come around and talk on that. So I think I have answered those two questions. And if Dr. Shea is still there, if you'd like to join us on the stream, you could also let me know. If Dr. Shea is still there and you will also like to join us on the stream. So today we'll be talking about diabetes, and get around. Make sure you exercise, engage in exercise, eat more of protein, eat fruit, eat vegetables, avoid alcohol, engage in exercise, and at the same time walk around, take a stroll. It could be just 150 minutes in a week. It's not too small. 150 minutes in a week is not too small to actually engage in exercise. So engage in exercise. If you have a sedentary job, you are always sitting, try to stand up, wall. She say thanks. Okay. So stand up, take a walk around you. Just make sure you exercise your body and try as much as possible to ensure that your input is equal to your output. I always say that let your input be equal to your output. When you are eating and eating, be ready to burn the excess calories you are taking in. Be ready to burn those excess calories when you are eating. So you shouldn't compare yourself with another person when you are eating. Try as much as possible to eat as little as you can and make sure that you have it in plan to burn those excess calories so that they don't end up accumulating as excess glucose in the body. Okay, so we have extreme joy. We have extreme joy concepts in the building. You're welcome, extreme joy concept. Thank you so much for coming around. Okay, dear Alton, say thanks. And Dr. Sheon said he's learning today. Dr. Sheon said he's learning today. He's not coming on the screen today. Okay, there's no problem about that. So that is it for diabetes. And we have something that is called gestational diabetes. Gestational diabetes occurs during pregnancy. So a woman, while pregnant could end up having a lot of glucose in her blood. So that is called gestational diabetes. So try as much as possible, if you have anyone pregnant around you, encourage them to take less of starchy foods, especially those ones that contain so much starch, high carbohydrate foods. So encourage them to take less of that, take fruits, take vegetables. So even when you take fat and oil, when after you have used it up, the excess is still going to be stored in form of energy. So you should be you're eating as much as possible. And like we said, type 2 diabetes could be inherited. So you want to help yourself, you want to save your unborn children, you want to save your generation. Try as much as possible to reduce your intake of starchy foods. Reduce your intake. Okay, someone is written. I have this with the housework alone in abroad. Jama Naija TV. She said with the housework alone, she can't be fat. Yes, the housework will be so demanding, but after all the house chores, try as much as possible to have time to, engage in exercise too. And even when you are at home, you could end up eating and eating. So try as much as possible to pay attention to portion sizes. When you want to eat, pay attention to portion sizes. And when you eat out, try to eat smart. When you eat out, try as much as possible to smart. So thank you everyone for coming around. We still have Nurse Jonathan in the building. Wow, thank you. We have 9 people already, 9 amazing people. Hey, Victorians TV channel. Thank you so much for coming around. Victorians TV channel. Greetings and greetings to everyone. Okay, so over to you, Nurse Jonathan.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Like, oh, you've done a lot of justice to to the topic, and so I think we're about closing, right?
Yes, exactly,
Hello.
exactly, exactly.
Sorry, I cannot hear you. What did you just say now?
Yes, exactly. Yes, you can just try to round up.
Okay, okay. So in rounding up, I'm just going to complete with these 2 points. Um, we've talked about some of the modifiable risk factors. Let me list them out again. The diet, our activity, that's our exercises. Then the other two is alcohol intake, and I think she has mentioned that. Even though some people believe, yeah, some people believe there are 2 schools of thought. From the Center for Disease Control, there is a school of thought that says
There is a safe level of alcohol, but newer researches are showing that there is no safe level of alcohol, right? That's particularly from the WHO. So the WHO is even saying no alcohol at all. And particularly because of its addictive nature too, we want to advise people to stay off alcohol as much as possible. However, you might find some research works, some academic papers that says there's a level of there's an amount of alcohol that is safe. Well, it's still subject to debate, and we don't want to put ourselves in that risk. So that is one. Then the other two, that's the last part I want to mention, or for now, is tobacco smoking. Tobacco smoking is another major risk factor. Um, but for many of us, we don't smoke tobacco, but we smoke tobacco still by second hand smoking and third hand smoking. So for second hand smokers, what we basically do is that we stay around those who smoke and smoke tobacco. And when you stay around them, you are inhaling the substances, the chemicals, excuse me, they're as dangerous as whoever is taking this particular substance. All right, so that is it. Let me mention that it is very important for us to imbibe the culture of early detection, that is, routine checks for early detection. One of the best gifts you can give someone is to gift them something, to give them something that will help them preserve their health. Yeah, and I tell people, if you're a young person, you can just do something for your parents. Let them just go to the hospital for a check periodically. They don't have to be sick. People have the idea that you have to be sick before you go to the hospital. No, no, that's not true. We are not delighted in caring for sick people. We rather want people to be healthy. That's why we're in the hospital. That's how we are trained as doctors, nurses, and all. So, important, very important thing is get checked for early detection. If it is detected early, then it can be better managed. All right. And once anybody has diabetes, it is important that they maintain these things even more strictly. The diet, as we have explained, they should keep up with their medications and also maintain all of these lifestyle modifications. It can be difficult, yes, I agree, but it's something that is very important to do for the safeguarding of our health. All right. So, I don't know. There is a lot we can talk about diabetes, but on the surface, I think we've been able to discuss one or two things. Um, because of the time, I think I should
Thank
just
you.
stop here.
Thank you so much for coming around. It's nice having you around. Thank you, Nurse Jonathan Arowolo. Thank you. We are so grateful. Thank you for honoring the invitation. So DIY, you can come down on the stream if you want to come down. So DIY is saying your body doesn't consider your normal lifestyle as exercise. If you are used to doing house chores, your body doesn't take it as exercise. So let us do extra exercise like our host said. So did you just hear that? Your body doesn't consider your normal house chores as exercise. So try to still engage in exercise as much as possible. Try to engage in exercise. Let your input be equal to your output. Let your input be equal to your output. While you are taking those foods, taking for everything you take, even if it is apple, if it is fruit, if it is rice, you are taking calories. So for every calorie you take, always have a plan of how to burn it. Always plan to burn it. Of course, the body, through a metabolism is able to burn some of those calories. You want to breathe, you are breathing, you need energy to breathe. So the body is using some of those calories you are taking in, but the excess ones that remains, what happens to them? So you should have a plan of burning those excess ones that remain. Thank you, Victorian's channel. So thank you so much for coming around. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your contributions, and thank you for coming around. Today's live stream has been a little bit rough. It has been a little bit rough, but I hope we have been able to gain one or two things from the live stream. I hope we have been able to gain one or two things from the live stream. So I want to say a big thank you to everyone that has come to the live stream of today. Thank you, Extreme Joy Concepts. I'm seeing this name for the very first time. Thank you for coming around. Chippy Van, Victorian's channel, English with 10. Thank you for coming around. Early Years Matters, Everyday's Matters, German Naija TV, Shady Princess and Beneficial Knowledge, She's Remedy. Thank you, Chiwe Uzoma. Thank you, everyone. Precious Meal. I'm here to say thank you to everyone that has come to support. And please, if you are watching this repeat broadcast, please endeavor to press the like button and also leave your comments with me in the comment section. And if there's any topic you'd like me to take, you could also drop the topic for me in the comment section. And if you are here to subscribe to my channel, oh, Collins Echo, thank you. Favor Olamide, thank you so much for coming around. So if you have any topic you'd like me to take, you can please drop it in the comment section. And if you are here to subscribe to my channel, kindly press that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell too, so that anytime I'm live, anytime I upload, you could get notified. Mimi TV Belgium, thank you for coming around. So thank you everyone for coming around. See you on my next one. Thank you, students. I upload during the week and I go live every Saturday by 1 p.m. Europe time. So thank you, Adebimpe Dari. Thank you, Shady Princess, and thank you for that amazing super chat. And thank you so much to our guests and Nurse Alowolo Jonathan. Thank you so much for coming around. Thank you, everyone. I wish you a happy weekend. Stay safe and bye for now. Stay safe and bye for now. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming around. Thank you so much for coming around. Thank you so much for coming around. It's a great presentation. Wishing you all a blissful weekend. The same to you. Wishing you all a blissful weekend. Chippy Van, wishing you a blissful weekend. Thank you for coming around. Bye bye. Bye bye, everyone. Bye bye.